Good morning and welcome. Today we have Bob Raikes, who is the managing editor of Display Daily, and many people will know him from MEKO. Bob, welcome. Thanks for coming. Now, I think you have been to every single ISE except perhaps the first one in Geneva.
Yeah, one of my colleagues went to Geneva. We've been going to Photokina and the other AV shows. I've been running a weekly newsletter on the display industry, and especially in Europe, for 23 years. So it was natural to go. I went to the first one when it moved to Brussels, and I've been to every one since.
So you must have seen a lot of change. What do you think is the biggest change you've seen in ISE over those 10 or 11 years then?
I think the impressive thing about ISE is that it's become the global event. When I started going, I'd been going to Infocom, and Infocom was the global event. Honestly, now when I go to Infocom, everybody says, I wish I'd been to ISE. That's very unusual for a European trade show. You know, Mike Blackman's done a fantastic job in developing it.
I think you're right. Mike Blackman's done a great job, and it's something that Europe should be very proud of, I think. It's very good. And the conferences and things that go around it work really well. Obviously, we're going to talk about the fourth day. Any thoughts on the fourth day, tomorrow?
I'd rather not be here because it's our press day, so it's a bit manic for me, but more time means more things that I can see. It really is, as the Americans say, drinking at the fire hose. There's never enough time to see everything I want to see. In the displays business, if you haven't seen it, you don't understand it.
No.
So it's always a challenge, even with two of us flat out. We can't get around everybody we'd like to see.
I think the key with the fourth day is the fourth day's success will be measured on the third day. How busy we are today is the way it's going to work, I think. And most of the exhibit NEC are very excited about the fourth day. I think all their senior executives are still here, working up until 4 o'clock. We've got Mike Blackman on our show tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Got some more senior executives coming as well.
Should be fun, but it seems part-time. I used to do 9 days at CeBIT.
We're showing your age. I remember CeBIT as well. So what will you do? You come here, you learn, you speak to people, you consult. I think you're one of the lucky few who go to some of the events behind closed doors.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you can tell us about some of the closed door stuff that you've seen?
Yeah.
Without giving anything away.
One of the interesting topics at this show is RGBW, mixing in white with red, green, and blue. Everybody knows that displays are made of red, green, and blue. But there's been an ongoing battle in the projection space between Epson and TI about RGBW. And one of the things I've seen behind closed doors at this show is the first LEDs with RGBW to try and boost brightness without increasing the power consumption. And there are real technical issues there in terms of keeping good colour quality. And anybody who hasn't been should go down, talk to TI and Epson just in Hall 1 here and have a look at what they're showing. Because the way we measure colour, typically in the display world, is really too simple. The simple numbers that we use for gamut and light output really don't tell the whole story. And as the quality gets better and better, that becomes more and more important. But LEDs obviously is the big story of the show. So for LED also to be going to RGBW is really interesting. There's a lot of work going on in TV there. The LCD guys have to go to RGBW for 8K in a few years' time. They can do 4K without doing it, but for 8K they have to go. So there's a lot of really geeky technology and science going on to try and understand how that's going to work.
Right. Everybody we've had on the show so far has spoken about the LED. What impact do you think that the rise of this fine pixel pitch we have for our TV backdrop? First time we've ever used LED as a TV backdrop, 1.5mm LED. What do you think the impact of that fine pitch LED is going to have on, say, the video wall market?
Well, it's really interesting. The crossover point at the moment is around 3.5mm to 3mm. So if you've got a 3mm LED, it's around the same cost as a really good high quality 55-inch ultra narrow bezel LCD. So it's starting to be an option. It's still the smaller pitch stuff, the 1.5s down to the 0.9s, are really way too expensive at the moment. I was quoted 100,000 euros per square metre for 0.9 on Tuesday. And that's the price that Barco was quoting for 3mm pitch in 2003. I did check my database a couple of weeks ago, and the price has come down massively from then.
Yep.
And the point is that it's coming down faster than the LCDs.
Really?
The LCDs come down in price every year and have done for the last 20 years, but the LED is coming down faster. So video wall is getting squeezed. The smaller arrays of, say, 2x2 are being hit by 90 to 100 inch single LCDs because they're easier to calibrate,
Yep.
they look better. So that's getting squeezed there. And at the upper end, LED will increasingly come in. There's just such a feeding frenzy around.
Okay. So quite a tough market for the video wall business going forward, perhaps.
Yeah, but the video, the large format display business is growing about 20% per year, and has been consistently doing that for several years. So there's plenty of growth there. Our forecasts are that video wall segment stays constant as a percentage of the growing market. So there's still growth, but not as a share of the market, because it's going to get hit at the high end and it's going to get hit at the low end. Eventually, there's another technology with LED, micro LED. Famously, Apple bought a company, LuxView, in America a couple of years ago that can make micro LEDs for wearables. So LED is going to come up from the bottom from wearables as well as coming down at the top from video wall.
While we talk
it's
about
really
the micro,
interesting to see how it goes.
while we talk about the micro LED, what's your opinion of the OLED stuff? OLED, to me, as an ignorant observer, it's a little bit like the 3D stuff. I've seen it as show after show after show after show. We've seen great displays. There's some good double-sided stuff here, but is OLED going to make the grade and turn out to be something which we should worry about? Or?
I've been saying for 15 years, I think, that OLED has my heart, but LCD has my head. And OLED looks wonderful. The contrast ratio, the deep blacks, the great colours, the incredible thinness is fantastic. But they're incredibly hard to make. At a conference we held in 2003, David Fife, then of Cambridge Display Technology, one of the pioneers of OLED technology from Cambridge University, said there are 4 problems with OLEDs that we have to solve. In 2014, UDC, which is one of the main suppliers of OLED materials, said at the SID conference, there are 4 problems we need to solve. They're the same 4 problems.
Right.
So it's been an incredibly hard journey. But the reality is that there's a huge LCD industry with $50, $60 billion of investment. And if you want to compete with that, you have to invest the same amount of money in OLED. And at the moment, there's just no appetite. So my view on OLED is it becomes like, in the days of CRT, Sony had the Trinitron. It looked better, it was for the real purist, it was really great, but it didn't really impact the mainstream because it was too expensive and exclusive. It was great for Sony.
Okay.
And I think the OLED guys, Samsung at the smaller sizes at the moment, although they're pushing up, and LG in the large ones, are going to have a segment of the market where they may be able to actually make really good profits and have very great flagship products, but it's not going to really impact LCD in the next 10 to 15 years, in my view. We'll see. Just because of the scale of the investment that's needed to build factories.
And there was another trend that we talked about off camera before. You said touch was something that you've seen here.
Yeah. Everybody likes these big screens, but we all want them to be interactive. We want an iPhone on the wall, that we want an iPad on the wall experience. And the technology that's used in phones and tablets, which is PCAP, projected capacitive touch, has not been doable on large screens, except with very severe disadvantages of either extreme cost or optical problems that make the displays look not very good. And at this show, I've seen 3 or 4 different approaches from different companies we've been tracking for several years that are now coming to market. There's a company called Siemens Nanotech, which has some very clever chemicals that self-align themselves to create the touch elements. They're over in Hall 8, and they're starting to be in real products for the first time. So you can do 70 or 80 inch with the kind of speed and response that you get on your tablet. You've got a company called Flat Frog, again over in Hall 8, who've got a very nice optical system that is absolutely clear because it's optical. There's nothing between you and the pixel. And so for people who really want the ultimate degree of image quality, they've got a solution. And 3M has got a technology based on a thing called metal mesh that also allows 70 and 80 inch displays. It's under exactly the right conditions, it's just about visible. Whereas previous technologies, you could always look at it, someone like me would walk up to it and go, yeah, I can see that, doesn't look so good.
Right.
So there's three things coming into play all about the same time to enable the collaboration workspace, to give that iPad on a wall. Guys like Sharp have been doing it with their big pad for a year or so, but there have only been one or two who could do it. Now, over the next year or two, that's really going to roll out amongst all the players. So that's also an interesting inflection point in the industry. You know.
Okay.
So those are my key takeaways, but I've got a day and a half left, so I hope there are going to be some more.
Bob, thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate it.